As usual, we're live across all our social media platforms. You're very welcome. If you guys can see me and hear me good, please drop USA or the emoji of the US flag. Drop USA so I can be. Guys, we have so many exciting things, interesting things to discuss. I don't know if you've seen the viral video we just posted on our pages of an ICE officer throwing a woman on the floor, on the ground, and it sparked a huge outrage throughout the country. We'll talk about that. We have the H-1B to talk about. We have the gold card to talk about, those of you who want to give a gift to the US in exchange for a green card. We'll talk about all of that. Please drop USA if you guys can see and hear me well. I don't see anyone on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn. All right, let's get started. So today we're going to let's start with the just a quick overview. Well, not the gold card. Let's start with a quick overview of the presidential proclamation for H-1B workers. So H-1B, you guys know, it is an immigrant visa, a non-immigrant visa program, meaning if you apply for an H-1B visa, you don't get a green card directly out of that application. It's a non-immigrant visa work, or a non-immigrant work visa program. And it's to bring temporary workers into the US who are coming to perform highly skilled or specialized work. And so typically you need a minimum of a bachelor's degree in order to be eligible for the H-1B. On September 19, 2025, which was last week after we had gone live, in the evening, that's when President Trump and his cohorts dropped this bombshell on everybody, and it just sparked massive chaos throughout the country. And the presidential proclamation states that the H-1B program is being abused, it's being violated, it's not serving the purpose for which it was intended, and that according to the claims of the proclamation, U.S. companies are actually firing American workers, and in replacement, they are hiring foreign nationals as cheap labor. That's the claim. And so it goes on to talk about the fact that in the IT field, this is very prevalent, and the American tech companies are laying off highly skilled Americans and hiring thousands of immigrants in their state. Okay, so they are not happy with this. This is to disincentivize American companies from hiring immigrants as much as possible as H-1B workers. And so to curb that abuse, the Trump administration came up with this plan. And what's the plan? That Trump utilized his powers as president under some sections of law, 212F, 215A. We won't go into that. I won't read the statutes because we have a lot to discuss today. But President Trump used his powers to restrict the entry into the United States of non-immigrants who are coming in as H-1B workers. Okay. Now, in order for you to come in as an H-1B worker, you typically, first of all, have to go through a lottery system. There's a randomized lottery system where, first of all, there's a registration. Everybody registers. Those who qualify, they register on a system or on the USCIS system. And then there is, I believe, a randomized lottery selection. I'm sorry, there's a randomized lottery selection. So it's like all the names are dropped in a hat, shake, 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 and then they draw the numbers. About 65,000 of them, 20,000 for those who have the master's degree. And then if you are selected, then your employer can then file an H-1B petition for you. And then you can come into the US with your H-1B visa, which is valid for 3 years at a time. It can be extended for an additional 3 years. So President Trump's proclamation, section 1, talks about how this is restricting entry if your petition is not, if the petition that your employer files with USCIS is not accompanied or supplemented by $100,000 fee per employee, you will not be allowed to enter the United States. Initially, people thought, oh, is this per employer? That would have helped some employers, because some employers could, sometimes petition for 1,100 H-1B workers, 1,500 of them, or, bigger numbers. And 200,000 may be a drop in the sea compared to the benefits that they could get, but it's per worker. So if you're petitioning for 100,000, you're petitioning for 1,000 workers, each worker has to have a petition that's accompanied by a $100,000 fee. And I mean, this is really a lot of money. It's a lot of money even for major corporations, because that means that the only people that are going to be petitioned for are for people the companies that really need those types of workers. But even when you really need that type of worker, is the $100,000 fee justification? Again, remember that H-1B, we have two systems. We have the lottery system, and then we have the cap exempt. The cap subject is where there's the lottery, and then they pick the 65,000 and then 20,000 for master's program. But there's a cap exempt for certain organizations such as non-profits, which are affiliated with institutions, for example, of higher learning, or universities or governmental research institutions. They are cap exempt. Let me see if I can pull up the exact list of cap exempt H-1B institutions. So for those people, the cap exempt, there's no lottery, so they can file at any time in the year without a lottery. So that's a really good option for those types of organizations that need the services or the skills of immigrants in the United States. And as you guys know, there's two ways. You can file H-1B either through something called change of status if you are already inside the United States, and then you can file H-1B through the consular processing, meaning you are abroad or you are outside, and then your organization or the company files for you, and then you can come into the United States on an H-1B visa. That's how that works. Now, the cap exempt, institutions of higher education. So these are accredited U.S. colleges and universities. And then we have nonprofit organizations that are affiliated with higher education. So these are nonprofits that are connected with a university or college through ownership or board governance, and then nonprofit research organizations, for example. Okay, so those people are cap exempt institutions. They do not have to do any lottery system. And so all throughout the year, they are able to petition for people. That's why you see that some of these special needs, nonprofits, they are able to file for people to come throughout the year. All right, now this, you'll see that I'm going to talk. So with that being said, there was a lot of havoc. People were on flights. They were, H-1B workers. Some of them were leaving the United States to go to their country. There was an Emirates flight that was leaving to go to India in, was it San Francisco, that Friday that the proclamation dropped. They heard about it, and some people just left the flight or the plane because they said, look, they cannot risk it. Their employers, they don't think that their employers would be willing to pay $100,000 for them to enter the US, so they won't go at all. Now, after this, USCIS came out with clarification. Department of State issued a memo, USCIS issued a memo, CBP issued a memo, the White House issued frequently asked questions, USCIS issued frequently asked questions, and it was just clarification saying that this, and in addition to that, Caroline Leavitt, I believe she is the press secretary of the White House, they all came out and said, listen, this is not an annual fee, as the Commerce Secretary has previously stated. Commerce Secretary, we posted it on our social media platforms, A.K. Pukulo. Commerce Secretary was standing beside the president and said this was a $100,000 annual fee that employers had to pay every year. The press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, said, no, this is just a one-time fee per petition. And they also clarified that it only applies to new petitions moving forward that are filed from the effective date of the proclamation. All H-1B petitions filed after September 21st, 2025, they must have a $100,000 payment, or they will not be allowed to enter the United States. Okay. Now, the question that many people have also been asking is that, is there a fee if there's a change of status? Is there a fee if it's a change of status? Let's say you're changing your status from F1 to H1B. And, you know, I've read this more, subjected it to more thinking, and it looks like the change of status petitions will not be affected by this proclamation. This is because if you look at, for example, the title of the proclamation to start with, it talks about the fact that this is a restriction on entry of certain non-immigrant workers. And I'll mention that in interpreting legal texts or legal drafts or executive instruments or laws or regulations, one indicator of what the meaning of the law is, or one indicator to help or one thing that can help resolve ambiguity or doubt, is the title of the law or the subtitle or the heading of the law. It helps clarify what the law is about. And if the law is entitled Restriction on Entry of Certain Non-Immigrant Workers, the law is primarily talking about those who can enter and those who cannot enter. For change of status, it's for people who are already inside the US and, for example, in student status and trying to change their non-immigrant status. And so if you are inside the US, then this is not an entry. I'll also say that if you look at section 1 of the proclamation, you see that it says that pursuant to these sections of law, the entry into the US of aliens as non-immigrants to perform services in H-1B is restricted, except for those who pay the $100,000 fee. And so the section 1, which talks about pretty much the purpose of the proclamation, also specifies that this is for entry, okay, not for those who are already here changing status to H-1B. Now, if you go to section 2, at the compliance of the proclamation, it says that employers shall, prior to filing an H-1B petition on behalf of an alien outside the United States, obtain and retain documentation showing that the payment described in section 1 has been made. Again, section 2 compliance refers to aliens outside the United States. Then if you look at section 3, the scope and implementation of restriction on entry, it talks again about the scope of this, and it says that the restriction on entry shall apply only to aliens who enter or attempt to enter the United States after the effective date of this proclamation. You see, and so all of these things show that this is affecting only entries, new petitions. So again, let me say that in order for the proclamation to apply to these H-1B petitions, 2 conditions must coexist. First of all, it must be a new petition filed after September 21st, 2025, 12:01 a.m. EDT. And then secondly, these people must be outside and attempting to enter the United States. I don't therefore believe that it applies to change of status petitions, although an independent reading of the memos by USCIS, CBP, DOS, White House frequently asked questions says that it applies to petitions filed after that date, and change of status petition filed after that date should fall within the purview. But we have to remember that these memos and frequently asked questions are not independent of the proclamation. They are just seeking to clarify the proclamation. They cannot recreate or pretty much expand what the proclamation is laying down. So the controlling text of the new rule, we should say, is fundamentally the proclamation, and these other documents and tweets on social media clarifications of the proclamation. Guys, let's just take a look at what the press secretary stated, and we can hop off onto our next topic, because as usual, we don't have too much time. I'm sorry. Okay, so the Caroline Levitt. Okay, she said that, to be clear, let me just share that screen very quickly, and then you guys can see what I see on YouTube and LinkedIn. Oh my goodness. Let's see here. All right, this is on our Instagram page. This is not an annual fee, it's a one-time fee that applies only to the petition. Those who already hold H-1B visas and are currently outside the country will not be charged $100,000 to re-enter. And H-1B visas can enter the country, re-enter, leave, re-enter to the same extent as they normally would. This applies only to new visas, not renewals and not current visa holders. It will apply in the next upcoming lottery cycle. Well, it applies to only new visas, also shows likely that it doesn't apply to change of status, but based on the reading of the proclamation in detail and the fact that these the memos and the frequently asked questions are merely explaining what the proclamation is talking about, change of status should not be impacted by this new H-1B fee. Somebody's asking on Instagram, can current holders still travel? Absolutely. This has been clarified several times across social media platforms, on our platforms, on the different frequently asked questions memos that these federal agencies have all rolled out. Those who have H-1B visas, they are not impacted because even their renewals, they are not required to pay that $100,000 fee. Okay, so I hope this offers some clarification on the H-1B issue. Now let's move on to our next topic for today, the gold card. Oh my goodness, last week Friday, when everybody was doing TGIF, thank God it's Friday, the Trump administration said, I am going to cause more havoc and they dropped the gold card. They dropped the details of the gold card. We've heard about the gold card already. The gold card is, it's been already introduced. And let me just share the, okay, we're sharing the screen already. You look at this was an executive order, not a presidential proclamation. Guys, we've done a video on the difference between an executive order and presidential proclamations earlier in the year when President Trump was dropping back-to-back executive orders and proclamations. All right, so this is an executive order. I will say that both of them, have the force of being a directive or force of law because it's the president. But I understand that there are some litigations that are currently being brewed. I don't know if they've been filed yet, but obviously, let me just say that the H-1B proclamation, people just are very incensed by it and think that this is not fair. So there's likely going to be some federal court action for the H-1B. Now, for the gold card, okay, let's start with this executive order. This is Section 1, the purpose of the of the gold card rule is to, according to President Trump, he doesn't cease to remind Biden that he just, according to Trump in his assessment, Biden just messed up the entire US immigration system. And almost every presidential executive instrument or any executive order or proclamation, he will berate Biden's administration and talk about how bad it was and all of that. Okay, so here he says that my administration has worked relentlessly to undo the disastrous immigration policies of the prior administration. Can Biden get some peace? Honestly, I mean, this man is also dealing with his life, but it looks like every executive order, every proclamation, every immigration rhetoric, he has to be called back into the picture, beaten up, and then put aside. He says that Those policies produce a deluge of immigrants without serious consideration of how those immigrants would affect America's interest. The prior administration had permitted millions of aliens to enter illegally to the detriment of public safety, national security. The prior administration also permitted abuse of the refugee process, swamping towns. Look, it just goes on and on. So now let's get to the main gist. Section 2 is what introduces the gold card, and Section 2 of the executive order talks about the fact that, guys, if you have $1 million or a company or a corporation wants to sponsor you, they can sponsor you with $2 million. And you know what you're going to do with that $1 million? $1 million payment. You are going to be making an unrestricted gift. Look at where I'm pointing. Oh, okay, I pushed it. You're going to be making an unrestricted gift to the Department of Commerce. So this $1 million is a gift to the U.S. Department of Commerce or to the United States. Or so you have, there's a twofold, or there's the two alternative means of, I would say there's a two different sums or two different types of gifts you can make to the United States. The first one is where you are making a gift of $1 million. You are donating it to the United States. And then the second option is a corporation is donating it on your behalf. $2 million, donating it to the United States. And this is going to be evidence of exceptional ability, exceptional business ability. I believe they wanted to talk about the extraordinary ability under EB1, and then EB1A, and the extraordinary ability. And this is also going to be seen, that $1 million fee payment is, or the gift you're giving to the United States, is seen as a national benefit under EB2, and eligibility for national interest waiver under EB2 NIW. Okay, these are all pre-existing employment-based immigrant visa classifications. And now it's like, look, and each time I read these things are very, they are very, 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 I mean, the United States is also looking for people to dash its money. Can you imagine? So you're not alone in your quest of wishing somebody would dash you $1 million. So you're not that crazy. I came to tell you today, you're not that crazy. Even the United States is looking for people to gift it $1 million. So your dreams are valid, okay? Dream on. So the US is saying that, look, if you give us a gift of $1 million or $2 million, you can be classified as somebody of extraordinary ability under EB1A, or whatever you're doing is that you are somebody, you are of national benefit. You're of benefit to the United States under EB2, or you are eligible for the national interest waiver under the EB2 NIW. Okay, and then so implementation. Okay, let me talk about the fact that they'll deposit the gifts in a fund in the Department of Treasury, and they'll use those gifts to promote commerce and American industry. Okay, so they are given justification for this, okay, for their dreams. Now, Section 3 is the implementation. Within 90 days or 3 months, Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of State, and Secretary of Homeland Security, they are going to take necessary steps to implement the Gold Card program. They're going to implement the Gold Card program. There's a bunch of other things here. They're going to establish a process for application and expedited adjudication. Because think about it, this fee that you're going to give is going to make you go ahead of everybody in the line, so that your application will be fast tracked. They're going to develop a process for how this entire Gold Card petition will be reviewed, how visas will be issued under this Gold Card program, and how you can apply for a green card under the Gold Visa program. They are going to specify the date on which applicants or the sponsors, if you are being sponsored by a corporation, when they can begin to submit gifts for consideration under the Gold Card program. Then next, they are going to establish a process for the Gold Card holder program, which is sponsored by corporation or similar entity to abandon his or her status. So here, what they're saying is that they will establish a process for somebody who has been sponsored by a corporation under the gold card program. So let's say a corporation is called maybe AK Poku Automobiles in Ghana, or AK Poku Law Firm in Ghana, or AK Poku Law Firm in Nigeria. And we have one amazing dedicated worker. And AK Poku Law says that, okay, you know what? We are sponsoring you to get a gold card in the United States. And so AK Poku Law pays a $2 million gift to the United States on behalf of that employee. Okay, now what they're saying in this section 3C is that you guys know that if you become a lawful permanent resident or a green card holder, you can abandon your status by staying outside the US for a longer time than you should. Okay, for example, more than 180 days, and you can abandon your status. So they're saying that they want to establish a program, or they want to establish a process for a gold card holder sponsored by a corporation to abandon his or her status. What will be the way in which such a gold card holder can abandon his status? So they're going to come up with this, like, oh, if you're a gold card holder and you stay outside the US, for example, for 2 years, you've abandoned your status, right? So they're going to establish all of those things so that it is very clear on their books. Okay, then the transferee shall otherwise be subject to the same procedure as an original visa applicant, including appropriate screening for public safety and national security. So they'll take you through public screening, and just make sure that you're not a threat to public safety in the United States. And you guys, section 3D, I was like, oh my goodness. So when you pay this $1 million gift, administrative fees are not waived. You are going to be paying to cover the cost of expedited processing. So they're going to establish administrative fees. And typically these administrative fees can be the type of form that you will use to file to apply for the gold card. You see, your filing fee, what is that going to be? Is it going to be $500, for instance? So they don't want to touch the donation that you are giving to the US. So they're not going to take out the admin fees from your $1 million contribution. They are going to charge, there's going to be admin fees that will cover the cost of expedited processing. Then they will establish maintenance and transfer fees for corporation or similar entities sponsoring individuals under the gold card program. All right. Okay. So we're done with this as well. I wanted to show you, I think we already showed a website but we can probably take a quick look at that now. Let me see if I can pull it up. It's called Gold Card. Is it goldcard.gov? Is that it? Let me see. Hold on, guys. Let me just pull it up. I think we put it up on our social media. So I am just going to pull it up from there. Trumpcard.gov. That's the website. Trumpcard. Not goldcard.gov. It's trumpcard.gov. Okay, let's share the screen so that we can see what this looks like. Trumpcard.gov. Why am I off the? I am off the screen. Okay, there you go. Now let me share the screen, guys. This is the Trump gold card. It's here. The Trump gold card is here. Unlock life in America. This is a very interesting looking gold card. Very Interesting. Trump Gold Card. So, $1 million contribution to receive US residency in record time with the Trump Gold Card. Then here you sign up and secure your place on the waiting list for the Trump Platinum Card. For a processing fee and DHS vetting, you're going to give a $5 million contribution, and then you will have the ability to spend up to 270 days in the US without being subject to US taxes on non-US income. So you see the Trump Platinum Gold Card is not for permanent residency. It's for coming into the US for how many months? 270. 3927, right? So maybe about 9 months. For about 9 months, not even 1 year, and you're not going to be subject to US taxes. Well, $5 million. I wonder how many people take him up on this offer. Because you see, when it comes to the EB5 investment visa category, you're investing $800,000 or a little above $1 million. And you are going to be investing in a commercial venture. So the people that do the EB5, they either have, for example, they're investing in hotels, or they're investing in a school, or in a gas station, or just a factory or some buildings. So that makes it easier for those people to get involved in. Let me actually share. I think I have let me see if I can share one of our memos on the EB5, and I'll show you guys what the EB5 program looks like. I'll give you guys a very quick overview so you can appreciate it. Let me see. I think I may have sent this to let me see here. Oh my gosh. Okay, I think I have it right here. I'm going to share the EB5 information, pretty much like an infograph. Okay. All right, you see? So this is the EB5 for investment. You are usually, it's an investor program, and it's supposed to help with job creation. Once you invest some money, you need to create about 10 jobs per investor. Okay, $800,000 in underserved areas, TAs, and $1,050,000 in other areas. And you have to create 10 full-time jobs in the US. Then you have direct investment and then indirect investment. With direct investment, new or troubled businesses, you can invest and then help the business get back on its feet. Indirect investment, you're using your $1 million to invest in a regional center. That's where people pool money together. It allows investors to pool money together in a fund if it's a really heavy, a capital heavy intensive program, and then you can build something worthwhile, and then you can get a green card through the process. You get your your immigrant visa approved, then you can apply for a green card, and then you can apply for US citizenship. But with this gift, it just seems like, look, you just make an unrestricted. Did you see what the Trump administration said in the executive order? I said you're going to make an unrestricted gift. An unrestricted gift in law, there are no conditions for you. You cannot bring your conditions, because they know that for somebody to have $1 million, that person must be very opinionated and probably very smart, because you can't make $1 million if you are not smart. You have to be exceptionally smart to be able to give away $1 million. So they're saying that, look, it's an unrestricted gift. Don't come with any conditions. We are the ones going to give you conditions you want to meet. If you want a green card or you want a Trump Gold Card, and then you get a green card through the Trump Gold Card. Okay, so with the H-1B proclamation, there is already, I saw some news about the U.S. Chamber of Commerce attempting to sue in that H-1B proclamation. That they're examining the legal basis for suing suing over the proclamation. As for the gold card, Nothing yet, but the Commerce Secretary was heard saying that they want to scrap all other ways of getting a green card, and then they just want to focus on the Trump Gold Card. So that's just by the way as well. Guys, now let's talk about some trending news. When we are done with this video, make sure you go and watch the video on our platform. Or if you guys want, I could also share the video, but those of you who have seen the video, an ICE officer was videoed yesterday pushing down a woman in New York Immigration Court. Let me share the CNN news. The video is on our social media page, so just watch it once we're done, because we still have a few more things to talk about. We'll be done very soon. We'll answer your questions. So this ICE officer pushed the woman to the ground, and ICE says that the person has been relieved. The ICE officer has been relieved of his current duties. We don't know whether it means he's been fired or not. Okay, so it's a very violent video where he pushes her on the floor. And you guys, those who watched the things we post on social media, there's an old man, 80-year-old man last week, who was also pushed on the ground. He has a dislocated elbow, some broken ribs, and he actually has a heart condition. I visited his car wash. Is it in California, one of the states, and they were attempting to arrest some of his people. So he heard the noise and he was running to find out what's going on. They just slammed this old man to the ground, beat him up, and sat on him, according to the account. The man, 80-year-old man with a heart condition, has a dislocated elbow, broken ribs, looks sore all over, is currently in the hospital, has been hospitalized so that they can treat him and make sure he's okay. And now this one. But earlier in the week, I believe on Monday, there was some news of shooting in Dallas ICE detention. This is just these things we've been warning from day one. These are escalating. There should be no violence tolerated on both sides. End of story. Immigrants should not attack ICE officers, and ICE officers should not attack immigrants. ICE has the ability to carry out their jobs professionally, humanely, ethically, without necessarily using deadly force where or where the situation does not warrant deadly force. So these have to be really condemned. Let's look at let me see if we still have a lot more to talk about, but yeah, so was it Trisha Laughlin who said this? Okay. Yeah, the masked agents did not identify themselves. Which let me see. Hold on, guys. Let me see if okay. So let's read this again. Rep Dan Goldman, he's a Democrat whose district includes a courthouse, and he said in a statement on Twitter or X that the woman is identified as Monica, and her two children, they ran to the Democrats, the representative's office. Dan Goldman, he's a House of Representative for Democrats, and Monica and her two children ran to her office for safety after she was assaulted. He called the representative. He called on DHS Secretary Christine Noem to take appropriate disciplinary action and implement measures. Brand Lander, he is a city controller, and he was arrested previously. We shared on our social media pages as well. He said that he was at the plaza when this happened. And he also said that an ICE agent violently threw this woman to the ground in front of her kids. She had not touched him. She did not pose any threat. She had to be taken to the hospital. So they were apparently masked agents. Well, from the video I saw, they were not masked, unless I'm mistaken. I did not see. Okay. Well, the CNN article says, regardless of motive or target, we must condemn political violence. But let's be clear, every day, masked ICE agents are acting violently against our neighbors, illegally abducting them, holding them in cruel and inhumane conditions. Okay, so the woman speaking to reporters after the interaction said, over in Ecuador, they beat us there too. I didn't think I'd come to the United States and the same thing would happen to me. Oh my gosh, this is very devastating and highly heartbreaking. I mean, I am not sure how we got here where the police now in broad daylight can beat people up, throw people on the floor. We're going to get to, ICE officers or federal agents. We're going to get to a point where these people will start punching us in the face because you see, this old man, 80-year-old man I talk about at the car wash, he is a US citizen. It didn't stop ICE from slamming him on the floor. There has to be some decorum injected into all of this. Everybody's trying to do their work, and so some professionalism and humanism or humanity should be used in or utilized in carrying out everybody's duty so that everybody is safe. Okay. Yeah. Annabelle Lawful 2000 said, with the old man, they came into a store looking for immigrants. He had a car wash. It was actually a car wash that he had. And I think that the car wash probably had a grocery store attached to it. That's what the report says. So, it still makes it's still quite devastating for an 80-year-old man with a heart condition to be subjected to all of this. Guys, ask your questions. We have a few more minutes and then we can hop off. I think I wanted to share about the shooting also. The update on the shooting. We should not descend into this because you see, you can be an unfortunate target hit by the shooting. This should be very highly condemned. We don't have to shoot each other like animals. I'm sorry. Okay. Well, the thing I'm pulling up, the article is not coming up, but I think we shared the video across our social media platforms also. And okay, there it is. Okay. So this happened in Dallas, the shooting at the ICE offices. This happened in the state of Dallas. Let me share the screen here. And apparently the man who fatally shot, so the one detainee died, meaning an immigrant died. He was in ICE detention or immigration facility in Dallas, and 2 others were wounded. The shooter actually intended to kill ICE agents or ICE. They found things he had written saying that he abolished ICE and all of that. So the man who shot the immigrant or was planning to shoot ICE is called Joshua Jan, and he's a 29-year-old man, such a young man. Why do you want to do this with your life? He left behind written notes and he described a game plan of the attack and a desire to give ICE agents real terror. Okay, and he said that Jan said he wanted to minimize any collateral damage or injury to the detainees. And unfortunately, the tragic irony for the evil plot, as you guys can see, is that it was a detainee who was killed and 2 others were injured. And yeah, and then this Jan man, after he did this, he shot himself and committed suicide by gun. Right, he turned the gun on himself, and he did all this. He climbed up to a rooftop and started shooting. I mean, how desperate must you be to shoot people and then shoot yourself? Climbed up to a rooftop. Is that not how Charlie Kirk also died? The person also climbed on a rooftop. Now, listen, guys, if you see anybody on a rooftop, call 911, because I'm not sure why people want to be on rooftops and start firing to everybody. This is just very, very scary for all of us, and we honestly must condemn all of this gun violence in no uncertain terms. Okay, we all know, yeah, but I hope that ICE can also sit back and, reorganize themselves and come back with a renewed sense of repentance, and just really try to move forward in a way that will de-escalate situations and not just aggravate people to start doing all these things. Both sides must calm down. We have some questions here. Eric McLaughlin says, are you in the US? Yes, we are in the US. We are in Virginia, in Northern Virginia. We represent clients in all 50 states in the US and around the world. William Madison, looks like you came late. Does the new fee affect any category of status change? No, it does not. You're talking about the H-1B new fee. That's what we just discussed. Watch the video in full. It does not affect change of status because these are not entries into the US. The proclamation is fundamentally about entry into the US for petitions filed after September 21st, 2025, 12:01 a.m. EDT. Change of status are not entries. USCIS just sought to clarify the proclamation and is not really expanding on the proclamation. So change of status should not be affected by the $100,000 fee required now for H-1B petitions. All right, guys, if we don't have any more questions, let me see. If we have any more questions here. Guys, drop USA if you've enjoyed the session so far. Drop USA, type USA. Let me be sure that you guys can still hear me. We have, let's see, we have a question. Ashfaq08. He says on Instagram, hello, ma'am, how are you? I have a question for you. I want to re-enter the United States. I have a valid visa, but my CV is expired. So you have a valid visa. Sounds like you have an F1 visa, but if your CV's records expired, then what is going to be your purpose for entering? Remember, when you're coming into the US on a visa, you must be admitted for the purpose for which you're entering. And so if your CV's has expired, I mean, unless you have, you've paid some CV's fees and you're coming in to pursue a full course of study, you need to contact us. Let's discuss this better and make sure that you can leave and then re-enter. Because if you're not coming to pursue a full course of study, the agents at the CBP, the airport, they are not going to allow you to enter the US, okay? Srikanth Reddy says, I would like to invite you on my podcast channel. That's fine. Please send us a DM and an email, and then we can review that and see how it, that can fit into our schedule or if it aligns with what we're doing. Thank you. Let me see. I did see some questions. I'm trying to go back on Instagram. Here. Shreya 393 says, if someone on F1 in the USA and they also have to pay 100K to change their status to H1B, we don't believe so. We just answered that question on this video, on this entire live session. Please watch it. We do not believe so. You should not be subject because the proclamation is an entry proclamation. Okay. Yeah, some people said they want work. We don't help find people work. That's your job. We are lawyers, right? We're not HR professionals or like recruiters. So but yeah, sometimes we do have, some employers would say, oh, do you know anybody? But no, typically you have to find your own employer. Oh, the real teacher, please contact us on this. 15 years ago, I applied for tourist visa. I filed that I was married. If I failed to mention in my 485 and VAWA that I was married, should I wait for USCIS to request an I-601 waiver? That's a fraud waiver, or should I send it? contact us on this, and then we can give you better advice based on this situation. Natural Hair 360 says, can current holders still travel? Yes, H1B can travel. Shauna Sharma on Instagram says, hi, AK. My father died just 6 months ago. He applied for I-130 for my sister-in-law. I-130 is approved, just waiting for interview later. Can we apply for humanitarian request or no need? Please contact us so we can discuss. We shared a video, 3 ways in which your case can continue after your petitioner dies. The widowhood petition is the first one. If you're the spouse of a U.S. citizen, for instance, your petition I-130 will be converted to 360. If it's already approved, it can still be converted to a 360, or if it's pending, it can still be converted to a 360. Second is the 204L relief. INA 204L, you're residing, if the beneficiary is residing in the US when the petitioner dies, they can do the 204L. And the third is a humanitarian reinstatement, and it's only for people who have approved I-130s and their petitioner has died. So, there are a few options there. We need to review your eligibility for the humanitarian reinstatement. Masood Shella says, do you think that this gold card offer people will be interested in? I mean, oh my gosh, perhaps. Let's see. In 90 days or 3 months, they're going to implement the process. So once people have details, some people have a lot of money. So somebody may be worth $500 million, and $1 million for them may be nothing. They say, you know what, I'll give a gift, because you see, one of the benefits, and people keep asking me, attorney or lawyer, why would somebody with $1 million, $1 million come and live in the US? But one of the things about living in the US for some of these people is that they have children, and the children will be able to get free education, free elementary education, completely free elementary education. And so when people look at it like, okay, I'm getting free elementary education for my children, they're going to high school, they're going to get free education, and they just have to pay for college. Some people think that it's worth it for their children to get the educational, benefit from the education system in the US. So some people may calculate it and say, oh, if I'm in my country, maybe I'm paying for some private school, $60,000 a year, and I have 4 children, for instance, and they have how many years of elementary education? I don't know. Is it about 8 years of elementary education or 9? And you have 4 children a year, you are paying $240,000. Is it? Sorry, my math is all over the place. Let's say 4 children, right? $60,000 a year. Yeah, so let's say $240,000 a year. Some people will even make a profit with that $1 million fee payment. So they're like, you know what? This is a good deal. And see, that's how rich investors could behave. So you might think that nobody will pay this money, but this might be a great deal for some people, you see. So let's wait and see. And people have their individual circumstances, and they are willing to do what they need to do. Okay. All right. Let me see if there's anything on TikTok. Okay. Okay. All right. Coffee Doctor says 240K. Fabio Braga says, I go every year, but should I be scared this year? What should you be scared of? I'm not sure what your question is. Let me see if I'll find Fabio. I go to Ghana every year. Okay, what do you have? What status do you have? I'm not sure. Okay, I cannot see, but H1B, non-immigrants, as much as possible, please, I said this from day one. If it is not a life or death matter, please don't travel if you don't have to. Okay, just don't travel if you don't have to. This is not to put fear in you. You are free to travel if you want to, but that will be my recommendation. Gigi, that's an interesting question. Please reach out to us to see what could be happening. We'll see how we can help with that. Gigi on YouTube. And then somebody says that 99 Aki Olamu John. He says they have to sue them more than $1 million. The 50 is small. I'm not sure who has been sued already. Yeah, but I think the 80-year-old man, they are planning to sue the ICE agents, and I think the woman was thrown on the floor. The suits could be brewing. The US is a house of suits. Everybody is very eager to sue. They are very suit ready. So they're litigation ready. So some suits should be coming up soon. All right, guys, it's been a pleasure as usual hosting all of you. I'm excited that you joined us today. Please. Oh, there were a few things we couldn't talk about, but just stay tuned on our social media platforms. We'll be sharing more updates today, and in the next coming days. As always, when you see our posts, hit the like button, comment, share, and then you encourage us to do more. Thank you guys so much. And as usual, if you need our help, please call us on 802-780-0564. We represent immigrants or clients in all 50 states. Every single 50 state in the United States, we represent immigrants there and around the world. You can be outside the US, we can represent you in your US immigration matter. So just give us a call, or you can text, or you can WhatsApp us, or you can email us, hello@akpopulaw.com, and we'll be happy to assist you. Okay, guys, I'll see you in our video next week, God willing, if we have the gift of life. Yes, Subam on Instagram says, do you only deal with American immigration or some other countries as well? Only US immigration, only American immigration, no other country, just US immigration. All right, guys. Thank you. Take care. Have a great weekend. Bye.